Welcome to CISY 229 Information Security. I'm going to be your professor. My name is Professor Awad, and I'm going to be your professor and guide for the whole semester. So what I want to do is I want to go over the syllabus with you and what you need to do to be successful in this course. First note, if you think that this course is going to be a GPA booster, well, you're right, it is. It's an easy A as long as is the but. As long as you have the time to submit and do your work on time. So it's extremely important. That's where most of the students lose their credit. Anyway, so as long as you submit your work, you should be okay. All right, let me start by going over the syllabus. So, as I said, my name is Professor Awad, and I am located, my office is located in the workforce building. I'm on the second floor in room 215A. Using the phone numbering, I mean, that's okay, but I'm not sure, usually I'm hardly ever in my office, to be honest with you, because I'm always downstairs in room WTC 120. In that same building, 120, that's our networking room. So if you need anything, just probably that's where you'll see me. You can always come in there and to do your labs if you want to. So just let me know. It's best to come in when you have during my office hours if it's possible. All right, so let me go over the syllabus really quick, then we'll go in details what you need to do. Let's go straight into the assessment part. We're going to have 2 exams and a final. Each exam is going to be about 7%. You'll go into Canvas. Week 5 and week 10 will be exam 1 and 2, and the final will be in week 15. You'll just do the quiz on Canvas and submit your test, and once it's done, it will automatically grade it for you, and then you'll get your grade immediately. As you can see, we're going to have 14 labs, and they are going to be a total of 40% of your grade. So it is extremely important that you complete those labs, those assignments, and submit them on time, because that's a big chunk of your grade. And we will do discussions every week. You have to come in 3 times on 3 different days, on 3 different dates, 3 times on 3 different days. I'll repeat that to get full credit. And then you have to host a thread about the discussion. We'll talk about that. There are 12 lectures that you'll have to view a lecture, about 30 to 40 minutes of each, and then I'll ask you to submit proof, and I'll show you what do I mean by that. All right, if you go down, scale. Here's the scale when it comes to grading. If you are on the bottom line, typically I let the grade a little bit, So as long as you're doing your work on time and you are active, you don't have to worry about being on the borderline. I'll take care of that as long as you're close enough. All right, so here's typically, for example, week 1. Here are the 4 project labs that you're going to do, and the lecture and the discussions, and they are all due January 30th. Typically, you'll have approximately 10 days to do this. So week 1 will open up on January 20th, and every week, every Sunday, the following week will open up. And then you'll be able to do it. All right, so let me go up and tell you exactly what you need to do. So if I go back to home, so this is typically what you probably want to do. The first thing that I want you to do is go into and introduce yourself. So before the class starts, so go in there, click on reply, tell me who you are. If you want to tell me any personal information, or tell the class any personal information, what your career goals are, what your what program you are in, what hobbies, are you in the military service, whatever. Just let us know something about you. All right, once you're done with that and January 20th kicks in, then we can start with week 1. So you have 10 days to complete week 1 labs, the video lecture, and get into the discussions on 3 different days during the week and post. So let's talk about the labs. Then click on the labs. So you're going to get 30 points total when you complete those 4 projects at the end of chapter 1. So what you need to do is you need to go to the textbook. The textbook, let's talk about the textbook. So you go to files. I put a copy of the textbook up here. It's really nothing. I got it maybe like for like $5. You can get one yourself, and if you get a hard copy, probably even less. So I opened up the text, by the way. Here's your textbook, and it's in e-text. So I asked you to do, let me see here, just go up a little bit. Oops. So here's at the end of the chapter, here's project 1. So you read, and they'll tell you to open the browser, you do all of this. If anywhere they ask you to copy anything, you copy it. Before you finish, at the end down here, you take a snapshot of what's on the screen, and you paste that in Microsoft Word, in addition to anything that you think is important that I need to see that you actually did the lab. Once that's done, you save it and you upload it in week 1 lab. That's one of them. Then you do the second one, you do the third one, and the fourth. Okay, that's how you do it separately. Okay, it is important to do the labs in order because they are going to rely, for example, week 2 lab, week 3 lab is going to rely on week 1, some of them. It is, especially when they are asking you to download any files. So let me just go back to here. So some of the labs will ask you to download files. I think in week 1 or week 2, we're going to ask you to download VirtualBox and install it. So that's going to be one of the labs, and then you install Windows in there. It's going to take a little while. And then any file that they ask you to download, it has to be inside that VirtualBox. Don't do it on your machine because we're doing some security testing, and I don't want you to install anything directly on your, although they're not really harmful, but just to make sure. So it is very important that you don't fall behind. You have to do first the VirtualBox and Windows installed in the VirtualBox before you can really start moving on. So if you fell behind in your week 3 or 4, and you won't be able to do these labs unless you're going to start installing that stuff directly to your machine. You have to go back and install the VirtualBox. So might as well don't fall behind. That's extremely important because if you fall behind, you start losing credit. Typically, I let you, I will penalize you if you submit your labs late. It'll be 30% off per week. So you want to get your lab as quickly as possible, through that due dates. In the labs, they may ask you, in those assignments, they may ask you to download some files. I went and downloaded most of these files right here, so you don't have to actually go and get them. So you have just to look for the right one depending on which lab you're doing and get it. There's some of them I could not download because they were too big to really put up in Canvas, but you'll probably have to do that yourself. Okay, so make sure you do your labs, submit them on time. So I'm going to go back in here. So when you go to labs, you go right in here, and then you submit your labs. You can do that, and that's it for these 4 labs. They are due January 30th. Week 1 will open up on January 20th. And you can start working on the lab. So the best thing to do is to read the book, chapter 1, and then you can get started with the lab and submit them. Then the next thing we are going to do is, let me just go back to home. I always like to go back home. Then you can do the lecture if you want. Click on the lecture. So what you're going to do, you're going to click here and just sit back and listen to the lecture. Inside the lecture, I'm going to ask you to take some notes. So I'll ask you to copy this, copy that, and it's going to be all over. It's not necessarily in the beginning or at the end of the lecture. It's going to be sometime in between. You may take any other notes that you want that you think would be important from what I'm saying in the lecture. But it's important to just to write down what I asked you to write down. And when lecture is finished, you just copy those in Microsoft Word and you submit that here. It's about 30 to 40 minutes maximum, the video for all each video. That's it for the video lecture. So if you read the book and go to the video, it's pretty much the same thing. It's best to actually do the video first, so you'll get an idea of what the lecture is all about. Then you can go read the book if you want to, and then start tackling these labs. It's important to, again, I keep stressing, the labs are extremely important. You want to get started with them as soon as possible. You don't have to do all of them in one day if you think, it's too much. So take your time, do one or two on a day. Just set a routine that you're going to be able to do that. By the way, when you are also viewing the lecture, although it's about 30 minutes, you don't have to sit for the whole 30 minutes. You can do, take 15 minutes, because I know sometimes, you're not paying any attention once 15 minutes have passed. You start gazing. But so what I want you to do is take a little break, use the restrooms, get a cup of coffee, walk around, then come back and you can finish it up. Okay? So that's with the video. Write down the notes and you can submit that. Okay? And the last thing during the week that you need to do is you need to go into the discussions. That's also going to be 10 points. So during the week, you are going to come in, you're going to read this, and you're going to probably do some searching on the internet, and then you come in and you post. That's your first post. Once you post on, then you come in 2 other days, and you can reply if you want to anyone else, put a comment, but it has to be something, with substance. Don't reply saying, I agree with you, or something like that. I will always come in during the week and I'll keep an eye on the discussions. You guys need to talk to each other, and I'll, if I see something is you guys are digressing, going somewhere else, I'll put you back on track, or maybe I'll ask a few questions. But after your first post, after you respond to this original post, then you can reply to your classmates, or to me, or to anyone else. Or you can actually go back and post again if you find something new. All right? 3 times on 3 different days you have to do, and you have to respond to the first post. That is what. And by the way, discussions there is no late discussions. Once the week ends with the discussions and they are graded, you don't go back. All right, so if you do not discuss anything in week 1, they'll get a 0 and it's over. Okay, and so you probably don't want to do that either. All right, so labs, you get them from the book, right, at the end of the chapter. The video lecture, you just click on it and you go right there. And the discussions, you come in once a week, 3 times on 3 different days, and post your thread. And if you have any questions on anything, of course, you can always email me. I have direct, I always check my email within the hour. You can come into the lab to do your work, like I said earlier. So hopefully we'll have a good experience. This course, by the way, is really geared towards the CompTIA Security Plus certification. So if you are able to do all your labs, view the lectures, get into the discussions, so towards the end of the semester, come and see me and I will give you a batch of CompTIA Security Plus questions that you can set yourself up to take the test. Okay, like that means, for those who knew me or took my other classes, and I've been saying this over and over, having a certificate is just as important as getting a degree, right? So hopefully, if you have any other questions, please let me know. So you go to the files, by the way. Like I told you, here's your course syllabus, the lab files. All the files that are needed to really do your lab are in here. Not all of them, most of them. If you can't find them, then you're going to have to go on the internet and download whatever you need to do. When I go over the slides in the lecture, all the lecture slides are up here and your textbook. So you can purchase the textbook but it's really insignificant when it comes to the textbook. So a copy of it is right in here. If I need to upload anything, I'm going to upload it into the files folder. If I need to send you anything, it's going to go into the announcement. So look for announcements. Okay, so look for that. And I will also, if I think or there's something important, I will definitely send you an email. So I'll go right in here and I will just broadcast an email to the whole class. So if we have a snow day or snow day is not going to matter because we're doing this online. But if I have anything important that I want to tell you, I will send the whole class an email. All right. So again, welcome to class, and I'll see you in the discussions. Week 0 discussion, right? Where you introduce yourself. All right, guys. I'll see you then.